And the only thing that's constant in commerce is change. It's death, taxes, and changing commerce.
Welcome to the Friday Flow with Jordan and let's go. Fact news and all the trends. Tune in now with your friends.
What's up, Will?
What's up, Jordy?
So you won the bet. We both had to decide who was going to wear a hat. And actually, I lost because I'm not wearing a hat. We both woke up bad hair days. Will's got the hat. We can't both wear hats. It's weird. So we're just going to roll with it. Getting a haircut later. So next week, I'll be looking fresh. Anyway, today on the Friday Flow, a nice docket here. It's actually one major topic, and that is agentic commerce. What is agentic commerce? I don't have a perfect answer for you. Will probably doesn't have a perfect answer for you. It's so new and so fresh, but we want to dive into it. And so here we go. Will,
Let's do it.
agentic commerce. What the hell is it?
Well, Jordan, I'm glad you asked. Things are moving fast. We're really excited for this as a category. We do truly think it's the future of commerce. And really has kind of been a few phase shifts in commerce since the ancient Egypt times to now. But very, very broadly, you've got kind of the offline to online change that kind of happened around the 2000s with e-commerce really taking off. You then had kind of a second phase shift into mobile. So mobile and also social commerce was kind of happening. That's call it 15 years ago or so. And now everyone's wondering, what's next for commerce and e-commerce? E-commerce still generally isn't like that widely used. You and I might use it a lot. I know you certainly probably get an Amazon package per day on average to the Nemro household. But yeah, we think that the agentic commerce, which is agent-led commerce, and this can be either on the buyer side or on the seller side. So think of it as a new shift to AI agents actually working on behalf of shoppers, but also on the behalf of merchants, brands, and retailers, is this huge new era that we're kind of just slowly entering into. But there's a lot of interest around it, and we can get into some of those. I know the recent last week announcement, I think, is that OpenAI added shopping into a ChatGPT. I think that's going to be a huge initial phase shift for agentic. What do you think, Jordan? What did I miss?
So I think you've missed a lot and you've nailed a lot. And I think when I say you missed a lot, it's because I think there's so much that we don't know about. But I actually want to start with OpenAI launching ChatGPT shopping, or not launching it, but adding this as a feature. I actually pulled up a screenshot. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so find me sweet shirts under $50 for my trip to Vegas. Here we go. Look, they have a bug. No picture here. We'll take it. All right, so you can scroll through. I think this is very similar, at least on the outset, to just Google Shopping, right? Like this is basically what comes up on Google Shopping. I think that the difference is you are speaking in human language to it and really describing in detail what you want. Those are things that can't really be picked up yet with Google Shopping. And so here you go. You can ask about specific things. Las Vegas.
Can you
girls
buy
trip.
in line?
You cannot buy in line, and that's where I'm going to get to.
I don't see prices. Yeah,
that's where I'm going to go to next. But you can ask about it. Las Girls Trip 2025. Yeah, we'll go there. So you can click here. You can say like I'm specifically talking about this one thing, and let's ask whatever you want about it, and it'll bring up. It could give you reviews. It could tell you about the material, whatever it is. It's very interactive. It's very cool. I think it's a great addition to ChatGPT. But you're totally right. You can't buy the items right here. So if I click this, it's going to go to, oh, interesting. It actually didn't even go to this specific item. Let's try another one. Retro style. Fail. Okay, let's pretend that it went right to the shirt that I was hoping to purchase. And again, yeah, you are now being kicked out of ChatGPT. The purchasing and the end commerce experience, last mile commerce experience is now being done on the independent platforms. But what happens when you bring that in to this shopping experience? And you clicked here and it just went through and purchased it for you. I think that's where it's headed. But to your earlier point, what is agentic commerce? Let me stop sharing my screen. What is agentic commerce? To me, it's eventually going to be where you don't even see any of this, right? You just say, I want to buy some sweet shirts under $50. It knows everything about me. It just goes and purchases them. I'd never give it explicit permission to, in the end, click buy and actually make that purchase. That seems very scary. I don't see it working in practice immediately. Like, I imagine all of a sudden I get delivered to my house like 50 random shirts that have no like relation to me whatsoever. That's probably going to happen, but I think eventually it'll get better and better and better, and it'll know exactly what you want. Thoughts?
Very much in agreement there, Jordan. And it's a shame that it didn't quite work in that demo. I pulled up the same in Perplexity, and I think we got a better view here. So let me see what we got. So in
Chatbot
Perplexity,
wars.
buy me a t-shirt under $50 for my Vegas trip. You've got an answer which you can see is very rich, kind of like what you had on chat, but you also have a shopping tab built into Perplexity. So here we actually have a real amount. We have discounts available. We can go out to the link. So is this going to actually take me to that? Yes, it's going to take me to Kohl's for the shirt. I'm not logged in at the moment to Perplexity, but look, buy now with Pro. Perplexity Pro allows you to actually go ahead and buy in line. So I think this is, the very much what you were talking about, the starting point for commerce. This is the agent to consumer piece. And so the consumer is now asking the agent for help, exactly to your point. ChatGPT already knows a lot about you as a person. Obviously, they knew you were excited for a girls' trip to Vegas this year.
Definitely.
They work off all that history, all that rich history content you have in your context window of ChatGPT. And so to that point, when you want to go agent to agent, you should feel pretty trusting in your agent going ahead and making these purchases for you without you interfering. And I think it'll take a long way. And I was talking about this actually with Richard earlier this week in our team when we were talking a lot about agentic commerce. Similarly, in my mind, to how we have this certain high level of bar when new technology comes out to how to use that technology. And so self-driving is a new level of safety for cars. People are still very cautious about using it. I think like FSD by Tesla is like 6 times safer than a human driving. But until you get to like absolutely 0 humans are killed by self-driving cars, the overarching piece is still fear. So it doesn't matter how much safer it is than humans, there's still this big narrative that needs to go underway. And I think similarly here for agentic shopping, it could be better than you at purchasing, but if it's a high dollar amount, high ticket amount, there's still a lot of risk there. It's got to be better than what you'd expect from a human making this purchase. Say you had an EA making a purchase for you, you want it to be better than that. So history, I think, plays a big part to that. But I think the other side, and this is where I think we play as a business, is on the brand retailer merchant side as well. So if you're on a platform, we saw Kohl's there. That's a merchant's website. There's so much more enrichment of data that can be underway on those sites to provide more and more context to both to Perplexity as a platform, understanding where we can go and source these products from, but also for the buyer's agent understanding exactly what is in these. And so we've kind of, from this offline to online shift, a lot of what we've been focused on working with our platform customers is how to make stuff consumer friendly. So if we're plugged into the back end of a point of sale, it might not be consumer friendly data. We need to enrich that so consumers feel confident purchasing these items online. That's imagery. It's any kind of fields around quantity, variance, all that kind of great data. I think we have an opportunity now where data can go that level more in depth, and that's going to really help fine-tune, fine-grain these models going out and picking the exact items you need, because I think it needs to be better than human level quality for mass adoption. And so in the early days, I think it's still fairly rough, but it's an exciting path that it's headed on.
I totally agree. And going one step beyond that, let's talk about the actual layer of purchasing. And that's where some more exciting news happened this week. with two major companies, both Visa and MasterCard, have announced enabling AI agents to buy, to securely purchase. So both of these things have been released this week. Here is the announcement of Visa. And so essentially, it's building the groundwork for these agents to make purchases. I'm actually unfamiliar with how Perplexity is doing it under the hood, but you can imagine they probably have some form of network or some way to either just, you know, as a bot, enter in credit card credential or credit card information or credentials, or potentially they do have a partnership with a few major retailers. I'm not sure, but you can imagine a new network where agent to agent purchasing just happens. And so if we are purchasing something from Kohl's, Kohl's just has the ability to accept agent payment. And that's what both Visa and MasterCard, I know I'm just showing Visa right here, but MasterCard, there we go. MasterCard also unveiled Agent Pay, which is, again, just beginning infrastructure for actually creating these connection agents and the payments. So super cool. And it's also just a very like verified way of showing like where is the world going? Like the biggest companies are getting on board with this. It's impossible to not see it, right? Like if you don't believe it, you're living under a rock. This is where it's going. But to your point, at what point are we all as a society going to feel comfortable with this? And not until that point are we actually going to see this ubiquitously across all chatbots, all retailers, etc.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think payments, obviously they need to be secure. Again, if we go back to the beginning of e-commerce, the scams that happened, the concern everyone had putting in their credit card details, that got fixed with things like SSL and other levels of securitization that you can do online. This is taking that one step further. So it's great to see Visa and MasterCard both going after this in a huge way. Agent Pay is a huge part of the rails to overall agent commerce. And so it needs to be dealt with. And it's great that it's the starting point. I think all of the platforms, all of the merchants that work with these, it's like a few 100 million merchants that work with Visa and MasterCard. So it's great that they're starting that off. We want to make sure that we're able to assist all of those. I really think agent to agent, A to A commerce is coming. It's obviously kind of the end state. I think the beginning state is going to be, in my mind, more what we're seeing now with some new interesting startups coming out is on the shopping experience. So it's Perplexity, it's also other smaller startups building really interesting and exciting shopping experiences, shopping apps for consumers, allow the consumer actually to make and dictate those purchases. And so you can see agent pay systems being on the back end of those to really fulfill those purchases is a great first step in this way towards an eventual A to A commerce experience.
Not just purchasing of goods, but also something we've talked about in the past, which everyone thinks is like step one and can agents actually do things, is booking hotels, booking flights, and things like that. I just want to quickly show kayak.com this week also came out with AI. And so this is Kayak's ChatGPT.
No way.
Yes, they did.
Amazing.
And guess what? I'm searching for, you guessed it, a trip to Vegas. So here we go. I probably won't be staying here, but this is just, an example. I think what's interesting is ChatGPT also is coming out with very similar UI, and I'm assuming Perplexity as well, if you pull that up. But is the end result going to be everyone's just doing all of this in ChatGPT or Perplexity or one of the major chatbot systems? Or are you still going to be going to places like kayak.com to use their personalized experience to make these purchases? Would I ever go to Kohl's.ai, for example, to shop for Kohl's in like a chatbot experience? Or am I always just going to rely on something like abstracted up layer to like a ChatGPT or a Perplexity? What do you think?
Yeah, It's the big unknown, I think, right now. Certainly, if you have an audience of consumers coming to your asset, your website, your store, whatever, then it makes sense to try and capture that audience in some way. So ChatGPT obviously has a huge, they surpassed over 1 billion monthly active users. That's a huge audience. Obviously, Google has it as well. Google has shopping. We'll have to see how they decide to play into this because they were known for their 10 blue links. Do they want to completely disrupt that with inline AI shopping? I think they have a difficult way to go. There's just so much news in the space right now. It's moving so fast. Even Amazon have launched Nova AI. It's a chatbot style shopping assistant within Amazon. You'd think Amazon is absolutely one of those places you go to make purchasing decisions today. In my personal opinion, it's been overrun with slop brands, which don't make any sense, that sell stuff for super, super cheap.
I will say I have used Nova successfully for one thing. I actually don't think they're advertising it in the right places. So this microphone, I can't say I bought the microphone because of Nova, but I was very confused if my microphone came with a stand. It was very hard to tell. Nova was the one that told me, yes, in fact, it does. We've found it in a comment like somewhere down the road. I was like, amazing. So my microphone came with a stand. I will say somebody else at our company bought this exact same microphone, didn't come with a stand. So, verdicts are out.
To the point of slot being sold on Amazon. So to cut through all that noise and brands that are maybe not the brand you want to purchase from, yeah, I think all of this data just needs to be in that much more refined position. But you're absolutely right. I often go into the reviews when I'm on Amazon or if I'm on like Google reviews looking at restaurants, I'll go into the reviews and look for keywords in there. And so that's all the stuff, that's all the power that the LLMs have behind them to bring that all in to make that informed decision for, what does Jordan need in a microphone? He needs a stand. I think most people probably need a stand, and so maybe they should be suggesting mics with stands out the bat. But we're very much in the early days here. There's a new arms race going for. I think today it's the AI search side of the equation. It's happening in the search apps. It's happening on the consumer websites. It's happening on the marketplace websites. Even there's a trend in research that Adobe announced as well this week. There's just so much news that traffic to US retail websites from generative sources jumped 1,200%. So we see here a real embracing of shopping assistants happening, and whether that's happening with specific crawls that OpenAI and folks are doing, or if it's actually because there's more pointed shopping assistant-like apps going into these websites. You can see there your travel experience as well. There's even more of this traffic coming to these websites. So you're going to start seeing all these brands, all these retailers, they're going to need to start making their websites AI accessible. And so we're moving way past robot.txt. We're going straight into what the next phase of this is going to look like. And the only thing that's constant in commerce is change. It's death, taxes, and changing commerce. If you're not moving ahead with the current trends as a merchant, as a retailer, as a brand, you're falling behind. And I think this is only going to accelerate that. Technology adoption needs to happen to stay relevant. And we're here for it. We're here to support it, and we're excited for the future of commerce.
Well said. Well said. Let's move on to two other smaller, I can't say less important, but just different things. First, I just wanted to give a little showing of a system I saw, or a software I found. I figured you'd love it, Will. Will's a big vibe coder. He loves using V0 and Lovable to just build random stuff. I've explored multiple days worth. I'm actually still working on one app to see if I can really make it production worthy without writing a single line of code and only using prompting on V0. We'll see how it goes. But if you've actually done it, you have noticed some downsides of vibe coding. And that is there's a waiting period. You prompt it, you wait a little bit, maybe you go and do something else for like that 2 to 3 minutes, and then you see if it worked. If it didn't work, you type out why it didn't work, and then you wait again. So there's some new systems coming out like this.
Oh boy,
one.
I hope they're putting ads all over it while you wait.
No. Don't worry. So this one's called Vibe Suite. Thought this was pretty cool. essentially, it's a very simple system. It just helps you go back and forth from tabs. So you make a little prompt, and then you can immediately go somewhere else and start working on something else, whatever it is. And then when the prompt is done, it just immediately sends you right back to that tab. Seems so stupid, but if you actually have done like an extended period of just sitting on like V0 or Lovable and just done some vibe coding, you'll know that this is actually pretty cool and will actually save you quite a bit of time. I think next time, I might do it a little bit this weekend, but I think next time I'm going to count how many times do I actually go back and forth because I'm just waiting multiple minutes.
It's like phone pickups on the iPhone.
Well, I think 50% of my time is actually unused vibe coding. I'm gonna call that out right now. So I'll find out this week, and I'm actually gonna track it. But I think 50% is, and so this will help cut that down, hopefully, dramatically. We'll see.
That's wild. I love it that people are going for it. I personally would have took that opportunity to plaster ads all over that, kind of like your commercial breaks when you're watching regular TV. But no, it's exciting that someone's giving you an efficiency for that. It is also moving in the direction of you really don't care what code is being written. They're actively telling you not to even look at what's happening, just to come back when it's ready. So I don't know if the group will be doing something similar in the future. I don't know if our engineers are also waiting 50% of their time for Cursor to complete.
No, Cursor is quick because Cursor is also not actually like runtime. It's not actually running your program. It's the V0s and the Lovables where it's zero, like you're not touching any code. It's just coding it and then running the program for you. I have a theory that, well, right now, my theory is the best way to vibe code is I think you do have to be somewhat technical and understand how to finish the project, but I think you can get to a 75% starting point in a thing like V0 or Lovable, download the code, and you use Cursor to wrap it up. That's my theory. I'm really trying to debunk that theory and actually trying to just get it to production. I want to get that last 25%, but we'll see what happens. Okay, lastly, we did talk about Cluely last week, and how
time moves fast in the AI world. It's already been a year of news.
It's been a year. I mean, really, it's been a year in a week, per usual. It was these two founders, or maybe one founder, two founders, they basically made an app to cheat on interviews, cheat on tests using AI. And they got kicked out of school, but then obviously they raised a bunch of money, and now they're making this crazy company called Cluely, right? Keep saying it wrong, Cluely. And so they announced this week that they're going to be having 50 interns this summer. They made this wild video. I'm gonna put it up here.
And we just spent $500,000 on the biggest office we could find in the heart of San Francisco.
We need top talent, engineers, designers, creators. If you want to help build the future of how humans interact with AI, Cluely is the place you need to be.
We grew our last company to $1 million in annual revenue in 36 days. Cluely is going to do it in half that. And now we want to be the fastest growing company to $100 million annual revenue in history.
This is the most unconventional company you've ever seen. Our average age is 21, and we're a team.
We'll stop there.
I don't think they blink. This is amazing. They're truly wired founders. I love it. I love them. We're excited for their interns.
When I first saw this, I was like, what can go wrong? Let's have a bunch of 21-year-olds run another bunch of 18-year-olds with millions and millions of dollars. I'm like, maybe it'll work. Maybe it will work. They're just like, they seem so insane. I love it. I do love it. I have run, small intern programs, and I do have thoughts on how to make effective intern programs. And it's way harder than just saying, let's hire 50 interns and see what they come up with. But crazier things have happened. And like, if they really are attracting the best possible 50 interns, and they're putting a bunch of, median age of 18-and-a-half-year-old kids in this new $1 million office, what could go wrong?
I was just going to say, this is one of the founders here. They got obviously a lot of viral traction with that. He's posting his Ashby account for all the active candidates that came in. So They're clearly looking good on new engineers, new growth interns, and everyone else in between. So I think it's exciting. I think it's a really cool new way of doing it. If you follow them on Twitter, they've got some really interesting posts. Obviously, they invented a platform to allow people to cheat on engineering interviews.
Ooh.
How are they going to hire engineers? They're anti-leet code. And so, yeah, we'll have to see how they think about it. They did note as well that everything's moving so fast. We've covered a lot of these topics in the past. Snap, as a company, have now officially stopped using leet code in their interviews as well. So how to interview engineers when coding and cheating is so prevalent is still an unknown, but there's already huge companies like Snap moving away from elite code and other ways of interviewing for programming skills. Again, it's moving. It's been a year and a week.
Yep.
We can't wait to see what happens next week.
Yep, I agree. And we've talked about this in the past. We also have been trying to change our interview process because it is so hard. The only thing that I can think of is you have to be in the office. That's it. Just have to be in the office for the coding interview. That's it. We have to be able to sit at your computer and see if you have a Neuralink and that's how you're getting around it. Good for you. We'll hire you anyway. You're dedicated.
I think that's it. I think that's what Cluely's saying as well. As long as you're wired, as long as you're cracked, we don't care what tools you're using. Come and join us. So
I love it.
It's going to be a bunch of 21-year-olds running a bunch of 18-year-olds running a bunch of AI, and
Boy,
yeah, what could go wrong? It's going to be great. It's going to be a great summer.
I'm excited.
I'm excited as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Will. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Jordan.
Bye.